on Wall
doing out there today in Radio Land? It's your boy Zeus coming at you for the first ever episode of Mental Capital. Live here in studio today. We're so excited, so happy everybody here could join us. Can't thank you enough for being here, whether you're listening live on the radio or if you're listening worldwide on the internet. We are so grateful, so thankful, and blessed to have you with us. It's the first episode, y'all, so we're going to get right into it. My name is Zeus. I'll be your host for today. We are here to cover all things mental health. This month specifically, our topics are what it is like to grow up without a man in your life. I've got a great guest here today with me, my good friend Deutron Kebebew. Say hello, my friend.
Hello.
All right. Thank you for being here. So stoked for today's episode. This is going to be a good one. Before we get started, though, we got to give you some resources. That's something I'm very big on around here, is giving resources out there because, you know, sometimes it's not always easy to just talk to your friends and family about what you're going through. Sometimes having a resource, something else that you can reach out to in a moment at a moment's notice really is what you need. And so I've got a resource here for you. It's the National Suicide Hotline. Number is very, very simple. They truncated it down. 988. I'll give that one more time for you. 988 is the number. If you are struggling, if you're going through something and you want to talk to a stranger, because sometimes it's easier to talk to somebody you don't know about the heavy things you've got going in life. And there's somebody there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That is a resource you can use whenever you are ready for it. So if you need it, we got it there for you. Now let's get into it. Deutron, hey man, listen, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure.
Seriously. We met. It's kind of like a kismet thing, right?
Yep.
Yes, we got a chance. We got introduced through a very good mutual friend of ours, Dr. Gary Kremer, who couldn't be here with us today. He was going to join us, but we'll make this a series of it, and we're going to definitely have more than one rundown of this. And why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Deutron Kebebew. I came to Santa Cruz. I came to Santa Cruz to go to school at UCSC. Never left. Been here close to 25 years.
Oh, yeah.
Who's counting?
Yeah,
but,
right,
I'm
exactly.
a dad. I have a 6.5-year-old daughter who's first grader. She's the world to me.
Yeah.
Married for 10 years. Been doing the work I'm doing for about 20 years.
Okay.
Originally studied electrical engineering. So, little bit of difference.
That's right. Well, sometimes, you know, the path that we're supposed to be on is not always the path that we think we're supposed to be on. So you went for the electrical engineering, and now here you are helping people.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a different kind of engineering.
That's exactly right. It's a different kind of engineering, but just as, if not even more important, I would say.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about, he has got this nonprofit, correct?
Yeah.
That he is in charge of called MEN-tors, which something that, for me as a young man who grew up without a father in my life, was something that I desperately needed. So would you tell us a little bit about what MEN-tors is and how it kind of came to be?
Sure. So MEN-tors is an organization, a social justice organization that focuses in really supporting gender-specific services, specifically for boys, young men, and fathers. Mm-hmm. And it's an evolution of the work I did prior to MEN-tors, which was another organization that I worked with called Papas, specifically working with fathers. It was a research-based project out of UC Berkeley and Yale that really, doing that work, I was always hungry for something upstream.
Yeah.
And I looked around. There was boys and girls, big brother, big sister. But there wasn't a multi-generational program that really looked at from boys all the way to fatherhood. So when I had the opportunity in 2017, I was just a freshly minted dad, and I was with my daughter, and it just kind of clicked to me. We really need to have something for boys as well as dads. So those are the bookend, and then the middle, young men and men, and then not just a siloed program, but really interconnected, intersectional program where dads could mentor men, men could mentor dads, and boys could be mentored by father figures or fathers and vice versa, but really having a multi-generational conversation about what it means to be a man and healthy men. So.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I think it's even more important nowadays because the definition of what it is to, unquote, be a man has been evolving.
Yeah.
Has been evolving for years and years, but even more specifically so within the last 15 to 20, right, I would say. And, statistically right now, numbers out there, I was reading the other day, 80% of single-parent households are a mother raising a child without a father or a male figure around, and that statistic is staggering. I was not aware, and I thought I'd had my finger on the pulse, but I was not aware of just how serious of an issue that this has become in the world.
Yeah, in America, 1/3 of the kids living without fathers. So in general, and so when you think about it, so who's stepping in? So you'll have father figures for teachers, perhaps, maybe coaches stepping in, or grandparents, uncles. So even with that, we're seeing a large amount of boys not having a positive, healthy male role model in their life. And that has a huge impact because I work with different population, and sometimes the fathers that I work with, they said they had an absent father. So it's the great thing about what we're doing, and the dads we're connecting with, they're part of the solution. They're breaking that intergenerational absenthood by really being involved. And it's very complex. The issues are very complex, why people are absent.
Right.
And, but I am fortunate enough in my daily life, I get to meet incredible men who step up, who are fighting for their kids, to be involved and want to be a different kind of dad, a better version of than their own dad.
Right. Well, and I know for me as a newly minted father as myself, my baby girl, she's just 9 months old herself.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It has been the best thing that has ever happened to me. Anybody who's ever has become a new father or a new mother, if you have a child of your own, you just understand. It's like I had a good friend of mine who's a father of 3, and when I was younger, when we were friends, he used to tell me, you won't understand until you have children of your own.
Yep.
What that's like. And man, was he so right on for that. But for me, not growing up with a father, I have all this excitement and all of this eagerness to be a dad, right? I've almost waited my whole life, and to now get a chance to help shape a young mind and help develop the world and make it better for my children, and go even harder, because it's not that my father wasn't necessarily there to do it for me. He was on his own journey. Right. And like you said, a myriad of reasons why people can't be around or are not around. And so now I think that I'm part of this growing generation as well of young fathers who grew up without these absentee dads around and are really ready to step up to the plate and make a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we have a firsthand experience, right? We have a firsthand experience of what it feels like not to have a father. So we're really above and beyond committed to really shift that narrative and paradigm to be there for our kids, because it's a generational thing. When we break that, our daughters and sons are going to have, it's not even a question, absent fatherhood. For you and I, that is true. But for my daughter, I don't think, because every day she gets to have her father around, playing, interacting, teaching, mentoring, and loving, most of all.
Exactly. Just giving all of that love, just being present, which is, they say 70% of life, 75% of life is just showing up.
80%.
Exactly. Listen, let's keep it going. 85, 90, 95, 100. That's it. Just show up and be present, and it'll take care of itself, really. So I'm so curious. How did you get started in this space? You were doing the electrical engineering thing for school, but how did you come into Papa's and eventually Mentors? What was the story there?
My own history, my dad was, for his own, like you said, I love your interpretation of journey. He was on his own journey and was unable to be in my life, not once but twice. One, when I was 2, he left a country we were living in due to political reasons. Second time, when I was 14, just didn't know how to deal with a teenager, and totally I understand, forgive him.
Right.
But really showed me what kind of father I wanted to be. So in that time, I also had an encounter with the child welfare system.
Oh, my.
And not anything bad. It's just, I think, unintended consequence. A neighbor just called and said, oh, there's this kid, and my dad was present. I had food. I have everything. There was no neglect or anything.
Right.
But they determined it was neglect. Sometimes I think it's better to leave families the way they are than interfering unless there is a risk for it.
Right.
So that exposed me to the life and experience of foster youth. So that really kind of opened my eyes, because my early years were very healthy, very supported, loving. But I met young people that really have had multiple homes. They moved in every 8-9 months. So after I graduated, before I graduated, I start volunteering with a program. They no longer exist in Santa Cruz County, supporting foster youth through their preparing them to emancipate. And after doing some career over the hill, I was like, I'm going to take a break from engineering. And I start becoming what do you call a home proctor. Basically, in college, you have a dorm proctor. So I got an opportunity to be a proctor for 5, 6 boys and girls. It was actually girls. And so we were having conversation one night. They were like, oh, we're not going to go to college. We're going to have babies. And I was like, what? I was like, I was always told to go to college. So I was like, this is crazy. You're going to go to college. Yeah. But like nobody in my family went. So I said, we're going to take care of that. So that kind of just inspired me to kind of help focus foster youth and education, career development, and really kind of mentoring. Now I think about it, I was doing mentoring work without even thinking about it. And then I got involved in legislation with an organization called California Youth Connection for foster youth. So it just really gave me a well-rounded advocacy and support. And then, you know, as an engineer, I'm trained to think about, okay, so how do we solve this foster youth issue? One pattern I was seeing is absent fathers, or fathers were kind of excluded from the system. So I said, well, okay. So I had this eagerness, and then a cross-section came a project called Papas, and it was a research project. One of the 5 sites was in Santa Cruz, and I got selected to be the project director, and after that, just history. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So it was like you got placed in this opportunity to do something, and you developed a passion for this youth, right? For these youth, to see that, you know, because you know, we always look through things kind of through our own lens, right? It's hard to see the world around us unless you're looking for that. But when you get placed in a situation and someone gets put in front of you that has issues of their own, and the lens then becomes, well, what are you dealing with and you experiencing? You start to realize there's a large common thread amongst youth nowadays, with mass trauma, or, you know, absentee parenthood, or different things like that. And there's such a need for this type of work.
Absolutely. And there are programs like Boys, Girls, YMCA, Big Brother, Big Sister. But if you look, one of the challenges they have is recruiting male. So there is a theme that's going on. I think we have our men are kind of fearful of getting engaged with these kind of programs, or discouraged, or are not invited. So mentors intentionally, our goal ultimately is to actually mentor. So right now we're doing it in a group setting, where in the future dates we will get to a place of one-on-one as well as group because, 1 in 3 adult now or youth have gone through their life without having any mentor. When I look at my success and my growth and development, at least I had 10 mentors in my life.
Wow.
So and we know from a research study that young people need at least 3 adult beside their parent to be successful in life. 3 additional unique relationship beside their mom and dad's. So I think it's a calling in a positive way, and I think we could do this for every kid. There is no reason why we can't do it.
Right. Well, if you think about it, if there's one child and it takes 2 parents to make one child, the numbers right there are already good for it.
Right. You need 2 people. I mean,
that's it. You're already 2 to 1. The ratio is good.
2 to 1 is, if we can increase it, is amazing.
Yeah. No, definitely. That is absolutely incredible. And I really think that you're right when you say that we could balloon that out to to spread the reach as far as possible. I just actually heard an ad today about California is now doing a pilot program where they're adding like career opportunities for people who want to be mental health resource officers for youth. Nice. I was just getting my tires changed. I heard the ad twice over the air, and I thought that is so incredible. That is something that was almost frowned upon 15 years ago, 10 years ago, right? Now, I'm so curious. When you said that men are almost afraid to get engaged with it, do you think that maybe could be coming from their place of trauma in the first place, of not having someone around? So maybe they feel like, well, I don't know how to do this. I don't have a blueprint or a template kind of to do this, and I don't want to go in and screw these kids up.
Right. So part of it is, I think, the type of career or exposure could be. So, for me, I was lucky enough while I was doing engineering, I was exposed to counseling and social services. The people that I saw, there were males, females. So I got to see there are males can be in that field. I mean, if you look at how many of our teachers are male versus female, right? So it used to be back in the 30s, 40s, before the war, a lot of them were male, right? After the war became traditionally female. So I think our boys and girls are looking for diverse teachers, counselors. So I think man's fear, like you said, there's no blueprint. Second, these opportunities most of the time, unless if you're volunteering, it's okay. But if you think about it, they don't pay well. So,
or sometimes at all.
Or pay at all. So there is that fear of, my job is as a provider. I think that's drilled in us.
Yes.
So provider. So I have to provide for family. So I got to bring in as much resources as possible. Yeah. I think your generation and my generation, we're kind of breaking out of that. Yeah. We're trying to find a balance between work and family.
Yep.
At the same time, we're not walking away from our role as a provider, but it's a teamwork. I think we're going back as a team and working. Each family is different, finding what works for them. So there is a sense of more interest, more desire, and there's more people who have experienced adverse childhood experience that are wanting to go in these fields so they can help minimize the impact of adverse childhood experience in the next generation. Unfortunately, for our generation, it's not too late, but we already got our A's, right?
Right.
But
yes,
we can
exactly.
prevent that, and that's one of my really outcomes is how do we reduce the number of A's young people get before the age of 18? By building their asset, by building their parents' asset, so that parents are parenting better from a loving, caring place. Children feel and young people feel like they have parents or community of people where they can go. If it doesn't matter, it's mental health or substance use or any other, they have people they can confine to. So, it's like dismantling the paradigm of mental health is you have to be crazy. No, we all could use somebody to talk to.
Always.
Yeah.
And everybody needs somebody.
Yep.
That is so real.
Yep.
Whether it's just to listen or to give advice or feedback or what it is, we've all been in a situation where we just need to be heard.
Yep.
And, that being such a fundamental human need, that is such a big, big thing. And going without that can cause such damage.
Yeah, connection is one of the primal need of humans.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You said it. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. I'm here with my good friend Deutron Kebebew. We'll be back in 60 seconds with more Mental Capital.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Depression won't show up on an eye chart, and you won't find PTSD by looking at a thermometer. Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a bandage. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, call 1-800-662-HELP for free and confidential information and treatment referral. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
After a long day at work, I'll bet the last thing you want to do is spend another hour or more making a healthy meal for yourself and the family. Here's the answer. Just go to myfoodsmith.com and choose your meal plan, meal type, and how many days you'd like it delivered. Place your order by Thursday midnight for delivery the following week. It's that easy. Delicious food from your microwave with no shopping, no cooking, and no cleanup. Just go to myfoodsmith.com and get started today.
All right, we are back with Mental Capital. I'm here with my good friend Deutron Kebebew, founder of MEN-tors, nonprofit that helps youth connect, specifically men of all ages, connect with each other to try to bring each other closer together. We've been talking about why this is such an important thing. We talked a little bit about why you got involved in the space. Can you tell me kind of the impact that you have noticed since you've been doing this work? It's been a while now, about 20 years you said, right?
Yeah.
So what is the note? When did you first start to notice that it was making an impact?
I think at the time I was living in Watsonville. Currently I live in Santa Cruz. Mm-hmm. When you go to a supermarket and somebody comes and says, in Spanish or an English teacher or maestro, and they tell you the story.
Yeah.
When they tell you the story of how they're a different kind of father, it's not about what happens in the group. It's really what happens outside of the group. This morning, just before I came in, I got a call from a dad who is on child welfare case, just told me, I just had my first overnight with my daughter and I'm excited. And tonight we have group, so I might be a little bit late because somebody's delivering a bed for her, and I'm going to have 50-50 custody. So when you see that, and that road is very, very long road.
Yes.
And when you're in the tunnel, it feels like a freight train is coming your way. And one of the things I wish I coined it, but I didn't. I borrowed it from somebody. His name escapes me at this moment, but he said, his job is to be a hope dealer. And so I see myself as a hope dealer. I know dealer doesn't have a very good connotation, but you know what? Until somebody gives me a better word, I'm a hope dealer, because when they're in that tunnel and they feel like a freight train is coming, I'm saying, no, actually, that's an exit. Keep your side of the street clean. Keep walking. I'm behind you. We got this. So until they see, and today when I got that phone call that he has not just seen, but he's about to exit that tunnel and really and he said, I can't wait to put what we have learned in class into practice. And I just say, you got this. And so, it's like there is so many of these stories. I get dads calling me after 10 years.
Yeah.
Saying, you know what? We had a surprise and I'm about to have a kid. Can I brush up with you?
Yes, of course,
of course. Come on in. Here's the date. Here's what's available. So I think when folks feel comfortable, not after an 8 weeks program, but they can reach out to you at any point, that I think you have made a connection. Yeah. I think that connection is for life. And we tell our participants, you are part of the Mentors family for life. Come and go as you like. It's not a program. It's a family. And we want to give them that sense, because fatherhood and parenthood is for life. It's not like I may be a father of a 6.5-year-old, but when I'm 7, I have no clue. I need others around me to tell me what 7 looks like. Or somebody who's coming behind, I can tell them, oh, don't worry about 5. 6 is just around the corner. You got this.
Right.
So it's being able to have that support across developmental milestone and know that we're not alone. I think a lot of the time parents are feeling they're alone. And the only time they should go to parenting is when something is wrong.
When something is wrong, no.
You should be going to parenting because you want to be the best version of yourself as a dad.
Right. And that is always changing and always evolving.
Yeah.
So, what it looks like today is not going to be what it looks like tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to admit that you need help. One thing that you said I really want to reiterate. You are not alone. This is for my parents out there. This is for the new parents, about to be parents who've been in this for a while. Wherever you're at in your journey, you're not alone going through this, okay? And I wanted to speak to the fact that, like, the resources are available. There are people out there, probably your peers, seeking this help, and you shouldn't just be looking for it when you think something is wrong. Because there's no shame. We've got to get rid of the stigma of asking for help. Because the stigma around asking for help is that it implies weakness.
Yep.
Right? That I can't do something, I'm incapable, yada, yada, yada. That's not it at all. If anything, if you look at it as an eagerness to learn, to grow, a hunger to be the best version of yourself, like you said, that puts the scope of things so much different. It changes from the train is coming my way to, oh, that's the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
It's not something that's coming to smother me. It's something that is coming to, to bring me that sweet ecstasy of arriving exactly where I am.
Yep. And also that, there's this perception when a system or a court or something is involved, we are bad dads and we need to be a good dad. I think the premise is a mentor for any dad who comes through any door is you're a good dad, but you can be a great dad. And I think that's where we start, and I think that makes a difference. Mm-hmm. There's no that shame. There's no that stigma is you're a good dad. Somebody else may tell you otherwise. That we'll help you how to deal with that. You're a good dad, but let us help you be a great dad, because I think all of us want to be a great dad or a great parent. I haven't met a parent who does not want to be a great version of themselves for their kids.
Right.
Because that's our number one job.
That's the purpose.
Yeah, that's the purpose. Like you say, shape, mold, and to do that, we model. Every day, I am modeling. And there are days I screw up. And when I do, I go back and I apologize and, rupture to repair.
Yes.
Connect before correct. You know? So there's all these acronyms in my head that I remember, or sayings, because I'm not worried about being perfect. But every time I have a little person who's looking at me, I'm probably her prince. And if I had a boy, I would be his superhero. So kid is empty.
Yep.
And I'm running on fume. And those days, instead of putting her in timeout, I put me in timeout, because I'm the one who needs the timeout.
Yes, that's it. And everybody has moments where they have an empty bucket.
Yep.
That's normal. That is natural. There's nothing wrong with, today's just one of those days. Those sayings exist for a reason.
Yep. There's a wisdom to them.
Yes, there really is a wisdom to them. Not everything is just for show. And I think that, again, that comes back to the stigma of being like, on days like that, it's okay to ask for help when you need it.
Yep,
it's okay. It's okay to have a resource available. It's even better to have that resource. So, when these men call you, right, it may not necessarily be an empty bucket moment. One dad calls you and he's overjoyed, right? His cup runneth over, but he's still got that resource, something to lean into, because what you mentioned is having the mentor's family.
Yep.
If it's not a program implies a beginning and an end.
Yep.
You think I'm in this program until this program is over. But when you're in a family, you just feel like you belong, like you're in something bigger than yourself, and that makes it easier to lean in.
Absolutely. And that's what we want the shift to be, because when you're a program, you're funded, you're this. There is this disconnect. It's you, the client, we, the providers. I think the philosophy behind mentors, and when we thought of it in the beginning, is really the sense of a village. You're part of a village, you're part of a tribe, you're part of a family, right? So fatherhood is a tribe, and we want that for any father. A young father will have a different perspective than a first-time father or a father who has 3, 4. Everybody has something to offer, and we can show up both as a teacher and a student, regardless of our status, our title, the number of kids we have, or the ones who are not even born, right?
Right.
So, and I think creating that environment allows for connection, and what I love is when our dads are done with the series of group and then they move on, that they still keep the connection with each other. They go for a walk with their dogs, or they have a beer night or poker night, whatever it is. Keep the connection, because once again, you're not alone. If you do this by yourself, this job is hard. It takes 2. If you have 3, 4, 5, it's much better. And I when I reflect back on my mom, oh my God, I don't know how she did it.
Right.
And what I want is, I am selfish. I want every single mom to have a co-parent that supports her, encourages her. It shouldn't be on the shoulder of every single moms or single dads. It should be a teamwork.
Yes.
And if we can get out of some of the drama in co-parenting and focus on the kids, man, we could do some amazing stuff.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? It's like sometimes, and this is probably, the program probably helps put the drama between mom and dad aside.
Yep. I do it every Saturday.
That's it. That's it. Listen, and I believe that. You got to do it a couple times a week sometimes, because stuff comes up, with people's traumas and triggers. And if relationships don't work out, maybe there's some resentment there, and then mom and dad aren't getting along. And who's really paying the price is the kid.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. You can divorce your partner. There's no problem with that. So we're not saying, like, if there's an unhealthy relationship in the couple, separate. We can help you separate in a safe way, caring way, but you cannot divorce your kids.
Right.
The kids, you both have responsibility to the kids, and let's help you. But one parent cannot demonize the other parent and be a savior. That's not good for the young person. Ultimately, what I tell fathers who show up to our program or to our services is, listen, it's not about you. This is about the kid.
Right.
So remember that, because sometimes there's a tendency to have me take a side. I said, I can't take a side. Mm-hmm. It's like me saying, I only care about half of your kid.
Right.
I don't. I care about your whole kid. So let's help you. And that is a trained behavior, right? So it's a trained behavior of, we got to have a position. If I have a position, I have to defend it. No, you don't. You don't have to. If the other side attacks, let them attack. That's their prerogative. But you can model a different kind of communication. You can show how you're changing and how you want something to be different. And I promise you, the other side will change, because it's too hard to keep a fight, to keep a war.
Right.
Nobody wins when you have a war. Everybody loses.
Everybody loses.
But this is a conversation we don't have. And I think the dads who see that, and also the moms who see that, is incredible. Mm-hmm. Moms are reluctant in the beginning, but slowly they see our true intention, and they appreciate and they cooperate with us. And I have incredible moms who are helping us facilitate a great relationship with their kids and the father figure and their co-parent. I don't like to use that ex-partner.
The ex, right.
The ex thing is just like, you can't cross somebody off. They're still going to be involved.
Oh, that is good. Don't call them an ex because you can't cross somebody off. That's amazing. I love that. That, again, shift the perspective, shift the way you speak about the situation, and it changes the situation completely.
Language is important.
Yes. They call it spelling. Right?
Yep.
You're casting a spell. They call it spelling. Be intentional with your words, because I can promise you this, the kids are always watching.
Yep. They are. And they want both. They love you both, and they don't have to choose. And the only time they choose is when we put them in that place. And imagine, would you want to be put in a place where you have to choose? It's a lose-lose prospect.
From my own personal experience, I was there, and I can tell you it is a lose-lose because it fosters resentment for both sides.
Yep.
Because then someone has to become a victim and someone has to become the bad guy, and it's just ugly. All around, it's just ugly. It puts you in a bad situation. It puts the kids in a bad situation. And that is what you're trying to avoid at the end of the day. Because even, creating a rift between you and your co-parent or your partner or however the label, we're not going to use the X, right?
Yep.
But that can create trauma without you understanding. And you may have been wronged by your partner. There may have been things that have happened where you have been hurt, but it is so vital and essential for you to be able to separate that when it comes to your child. And it's hard. Yep. Listen, I'm not here to tell you that you need to be able to do this, and if you can't, you're wrong. No, everybody struggles with it.
Yep.
But what you really need to do at the end of the day is be able to take it out and put it in a separate box and say, we're here for the child. That's the most important thing. Let's put this on the side. And we'll focus here to make sure that we get our best possible outcome for our kid.
Absolutely. And communication, conflict resolution, mindfulness, all of these are skills that all of us could benefit from polishing, enhancing, building on. Then it allows us to be empathetic, more understanding, even though others have hurt us.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there with my own dad and my own process. I look back and I look and say, yeah, he was in there, but who hurt him in a way that he couldn't be there, right? So it's a generational thing, but the beautiful part of this is I get to break that.
Yeah.
And you could be that mom, you could be that dad who breaks that intergenerational and stop it so that the next generation doesn't have to carry that burden. And it's a burden. And at some point, those trauma become genetically encoded, right?
Yes.
So we want it's not just the mental health aspect of it or trauma. It's genetically gets encoded. And trust me, there's plenty of trauma. My daughter has experienced more environmental trauma than I have at her age. We had COVID, the fire, the flood. It was just like so many things.
Social media.
Yeah.
Right? The internet. I didn't grow up in the age of the internet.
Exactly.
These poor kids nowadays having to deal with social media, it just takes everything to the nth degree.
Right. It's the tool we love, but the tool that has a tendency to be dark at the same time.
Exactly. It's all how you use it. And I like that you said that. It is a tool.
Yep.
It is so very much a tool. Like anything else, it can be used for good or bad, and it's how you use it or how much you perceive it. And, like growing up, screen time for kids wasn't a thing for me.
Yeah.
It was like, well, everybody has a TV.
Yep.
You use it.
Yep.
But nowadays you have to, you focus on making that connection with your child. So they're not always in their phone.
Yep.
They want to be present because they don't need to escape where they currently are at any point, because things at home are good, and both sides are putting the work in, and it does take both sides. It really does take both sides, as I'm sure you've seen through this.
I see my daughter wants screen time when she's bored, and she's bored when my wife and I are busy.
Right.
So if we're available, she's never bored.
Exactly.
So play is an important aspect, and one thing that I continue to be just blown away is, as I am parenting my 6.5-year-old, I'm slowly, piece by piece, healing and re-experiencing my own childhood through her eyes of what it means to be 6.5. It may not be the same experience. I was like, oh, this is, right now she's all about wiggling her teeth. And I have, bad trauma about wiggling teeth because I would not let anybody pull my teeth. They were just, so but she's just how fun it is. And it's just these moments are priceless. And if you ask me about when I was 6.5, I don't remember. Most people don't. But through her eyes, I am reliving that amazing moments, and that's the joy about parenting. Sometimes it's stressful, work and demands, and sometimes we forget why we have kids. Kids bring a lot of joy, and it requires us being disciplined and able to manage so we can harness that joy from our experience.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. We're going to take a quick break here with my friend Deutron Kebebew, and we'll be back in a minute with more Mental Capital.
Mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a bandage. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, call 1-800-662-HELP for free and confidential information and treatment referral. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place and instead of what you came for, you found a phone number, 1-800-662-HELP? What would you do? Would you stop and give it some thought? Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. For help with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/know-the-risks.
All right, we are back here on Mental Capital. I'm here with my good friend Deutron Kebebew, just talking about generational trauma and how things that you are experiencing, things your child is experiencing, this is from years past, right? Things that have added up, and how you can be the one to break that cycle. It can start with you. You can say, this ends here. Maybe my parents weren't around as much. Maybe, these are the things that I have suffered from, but now I have a child and I'm ready to heal these things. And it doesn't always mean that you've got to go and seek it out in a professional setting. You are going to learn by doing. You are going to learn in the doing of being a parent and being there for your child. And that's really priceless, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, if this job was easy, it wouldn't be thousands and thousands of books and groups and TV shows and comedy shows talking about fatherhood. Or parenthood, right? This is the hardest job you're going to have. I studied electrical engineering. They used to tell us astrophysics was the hardest thing after that.
Right.
I think being a parent is the hardest job.
Right. It's not even close.
Yeah. And so know what you know, seek what you don't know, and reach out to other, and that's how you become a better version of yourself. Iterations, right?
Yes.
Just keep checking in. And one of the things I really encourage parents, both moms, dads, uncles, grandparents, anybody, ask your kids, how am I doing in this job? They will give you a good feedback.
Kids have no
You'll
filter.
Be surprised. Yeah, they don't have filter.
None.
They will give you, and you gotta don't ask if you're not ready to hear it, though.
Right.
Because once they tell you, they're going to expect you because you have asked how you're doing. So it's really important that, going to groups or going to parenting classes or going to counseling, it doesn't mean you need to fix something. What it means is your ability to create the evolution that you want for yourself. They give you the tool. It's all about having the tool or the container so you can really reimagine yourself, the best version of yourself. So
right.
Counseling, therapy, group, they're just a container and tools. So,
yes.
Nobody's going to fix anything. You get to decide. And the same thing with trauma. We do with our fathers, the ACE assessment. And I said, look, this is not about the number, what your number is.
Yeah.
Now you're aware. You can stop it from moving forward for your kids. You know what those 10 things are.
Yep.
So be mindful. And if some of them have happened, figure out if there's a way you can start to do restoring and healing. And for you, you get to make a choice. You can carry that suitcase with you everywhere you go, or you can start to say, you know what? Maybe I'll just open the suitcase, look at it, and close it. I don't even have to work on it.
Right.
Next time, maybe I'll take one thing out, start to have a conversation.
Yep.
So slowly work at it so that you're no longer, at some point, you will have a suitcase that's empty and you got to decide what you want to do with that suitcase.
And what are you going to fill it with?
Metaphorically. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's how you become the best version of yourself. And it's scary sometimes to think about opening that suitcase.
Yes.
And so that's why you need the support of professionals, people who do this, as a way to be your guide. And at some point, they end up being from your guide to your coach to your mentor, right? And those three relationships are totally different.
They are. They are totally different. Now, I wanted to ask, you mentioned tools, and this is great because I'm big on this. I'm big in giving people tools and resources on how they could do this. If there are folks listening out here right now who want to get involved in maybe mentors, or say they're on a different time zone and they're looking for something similar, how would you suggest they go about that?
Good. Actually, somebody today reached out to me. I don't know how they found us, but he asked, what kind of mentoring do you do? So currently the mentoring we're doing is group mentoring. Mm-hmm. So we work with middle school boys, most of it in South County. We're hoping to swing back to North County, Mission Hill, start there. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we're hoping by the end of the year, the beginning of the year, we want to activate 100 mentors who care Santa Cruz County. Part of that is, I think, if we can activate 100 mentors, train them, support them, we'll be able to have them be available at middle school. I think middle school is our sweet spot.
Yes.
Our boys they're starting to develop change, but still carry their innocence.
Yep.
So there's an opportunity for a little bit of molding and shaping, and in partnership with the parents. This is not in no way taking away the parents. So what we want to do is a parallel programming where we're supporting the boys or girls, depending on the school.
Right.
And bring the parents in and ask them, what are you struggling in? What do you need support? What is working? But create that cohort of families can also support each other. And, where my daughter goes to school, man, we have a dozen parents. One of them was taking my daughter to a play date, and tomorrow another one is picking up. So we work as a team. Oh my God, if not, I cannot imagine doing this by myself. So
right.
I have a village of people that I work with, and I'm there for them and there for me. So that is one of the goals we're hoping in 2024. Our biggest idea is to activate our first 100 mentors. The idea is they donate 1 hour a week.
Okay.
And 52 weeks.
Easy.
And hopefully we can figure out, depends on how much development stuff we have to do, but even if they can donate $1 a day.
Right.
$365. And we use that funds for training, for support, for coaching, and most of all, activities that they can program together. So that's what we're hoping. Every mentor, 10 kids. So our goal is to impact 1,000 kids by the end of 2024.
Wow. That's incredible. That's an amazing goal because, listen, you train 100, and then if those 100 train one person,
there you go.
That's 100 more, and then 100, and soon it's just exploded, and it's all over the place.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love that. Now, you think there's got to be programs like this nationwide, right? There's got to be things that people can get involved with.
Yep.
For maybe outside of California or Santa Cruz County where we're at. Don't be afraid to seek, right? Maybe the YMCA or Boys and Girls Club, or get on Google, get on Facebook. Social media is such a great tool to find these types of things. If you are a parent out there listening to this who wants to get involved, or maybe someone who wants to be a mentor and isn't a parent and get involved, there are ways for you to do this, which leads me to this next question is, how can people find you?
So website, Mentors, DC, stand not District of Columbia, but drivingchange.org. Mentor was taken.
Driving Change. There we go.
And then I think our handle is the same in Facebook and Twitter as well. We don't use as much Twitter. We should. We don't have Instagram, so I'm still shy on social media.
We're getting there.
Definitely reach out. We have on our website, contact us. A little short form will take you 2 minutes. Fill out, say, hey, I want to be a mentor, or I want to just support you. And if you don't have anything in your community and you want to start something like that, reach out to us. We can share our blueprint with you because we want every community to have this. I had a mother who, when one of these radio shows heard me from Alabama and called, and I said, right now we don't have a program, but I'm happy once a month to sit down and talk to your son.
Wow.
So, we sometimes folks are needing those things and they hear. So, this is under available service in all our community. But I would love for them to go to Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, Big Brother, Big Sister. Start there.
Yeah.
And then if you're not succeeding, reach out to us. But we would love to hear from you, even if you have an ideas of what we should be doing, because this is a community effort.
Yes. Well, you said you have a village, and it absolutely takes a village when it comes to children, and even more so because you said we need, if you need up to 3 mentors, man, that makes me want to get out and get some more mentors to keep it going, because that was a statistic that I didn't even know about.
Yep. You need 3, and asset development, right? There's 41 developmental assets, so the more mentors we have, the more asset, and young people with a larger number of assets do well. Versus kids with lower assets, and these assets maybe in future show we can talk about.
Definitely.
And they make a difference for these young people. It's the difference between juvenile justice, contact, or thriving and doing amazing stuff with their life. And what we want to do is redirect away our kids from, school to prison pipeline. So
right.
Yep. Mentoring is the key.
Exactly. And just doing whatever you can to kind of, listen, if you start when they're young, you empower an entire generation to be able to do the same thing. If you can empower somebody to be able to ask for help or start a conversation where they are in need, that is a lifelong tool that they can put in their tool belt to say, okay, well, when I need something, I can ask for it. And there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep, absolutely. And your why. We start with our boys. It's easier to tell them what to be, what kind of man and what kind of fathers to be, because we had that conversation early versus trying to change the mind of a 40-year-old man. Takes 40 years.
Takes 40 years. Listen, they've had 40 years of building development on top of that. You know what I mean?
Reset it, right?
To kind of tear down that old structure to build a new one. Got to clear out the cabinets to make room for it. Well, Deutron, this has been such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much. This will be the first of many. He'll definitely be back. We had a good friend, Dr. Gary Krummer. He was going to join us in studio today. He had something come up with his family. Life happens, as we all know. That is, nothing new. It really is nothing new. But any last words that you want to leave out there right now for parents?
This job is hard. Reach out as much as you can. Get support around you and be the best version you want to be. So don't let fear get in the way. I think you're a good parent, but we can help you be a great parent.
Right. Remember that. You are already a good parent, but that doesn't mean that you can't be a great parent. And if you've got that passion for your kids like we all do, or even just for youth in general, get involved. We need you, really. The world needs you. I can tell you as somebody from my personal experience, from where I was to where I am now, would not have been nearly half of this without the support and just the love from people who were willing to step up when I needed it the most. So, well, folks, that's going to be it. That's going to be our first ever episode here on Mental Capital. We want to thank you so much for being with us. Just want to remind you, wherever you are right now, whether you're in your car, whether you're sitting at home with your kids, or you're at the gym, wherever you're listening to us from, anywhere, I want to remind you that you are enough and that you matter. And no matter what life has thrown at you right now, you've got what it takes already to be successful. And we love you. And we'll see you next time on another episode of Mental Capital. Thanks for joining us.